This is your family's first and most important line of defense against Mother Nature. When she strikes, make sure you call the people that I trust, my family and friends at Exterior Home Solutions.
Exterior Home Solutions 2-minute drill on this Saturday. Got to hear from William Inge and a quartet of linebackers, and it's pretty clear that Coach Inge is the anti-Rodney Gardner. You know, Rodney's never one to heap a lot of praise, whereas Inge is just over the top with his praise of his group.
Yeah, I joked, they're getting fitted for their gold jackets in Canton. That's probably a little much, but obviously William Inge likes this group.
Yeah.
And, when he went through spring practice, he talked about kind of a clean slate for everybody and sort of making his own assessment, not just make the assessment off film. And I think the assessment that he's found with his group, most importantly, is just how much they're willing to work and how much they grind. Caleb Perry talked about that, just how much this group is always in the film room. They're helping each other out. It's competitive, but they're all in it together. And William Inge talked about Arian Carter just basically living in the complex and studying film all the time. It's a very highly driven position group.
Carter got up to as big as 240 a year ago before the injury, and I think at the time realized he had lost a little bit of his explosiveness. Said, basically the injury was the best thing that could happen to him. He's back down to 225. Inge talked about him being just so athletic, playing sideline to sideline, and here he is feeling like this could be his year.
Well, and I think the other thing that Arian Carter took from the injury was a big picture view. So because he wasn't in the physical grind every day, it allowed him to learn all the linebacker positions so that he can make calls and be a leader out there on the field in terms of setting formations and all those types of things. But he also understands what everybody around him is doing better. I think mentally he's a much better football player, because you got to remember this about Arian Carter. He burst on the scene his senior year when he got moved back to linebacker from middle school, first time he had played there. So there's a pretty good learning curve there, and I think that's something he has really dove into with his playbook and put himself in a position of great comfort right now.
Finally, Edwin Spillman got a lot of praise from William Inge as someone who can help this team sooner rather than later. A year ago, Arian Carter was in a similar spot. He's still a freshman.
Sure.
Still going to have a learning curve.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where you love the physicality of him. You
Sure.
love his work ethic and all those things. You have these guys every camp, right? This guy's the next this guy's the next that, and all those types of things. Edwin Spillman's going to be a good football player. He is a fast, physical football player. I think he's going to show up on special teams early. I sort of think that's what William Inge is talking about when he talks about fans are going to know him early on the field. I think he'll make his mark in special teams. But he's a guy who's done well in a short period of time here. And William Inge is talking about playing a lot of body. So we'll see actually how all of that works out. Let's get through a scrimmage or two before you get there. But he is a highly productive guy on the practice field right now.
That's probably the biggest takeaway for me personally today was Inge talking about having a big rotation, much like BJ did a year ago. It benefited the position on the whole. I think it'll benefit this group.
Yeah, no doubt. He talked about it at Washington late in the year.
Yeah.
When you play the extra games in the playoffs, you want to stay fresh. You want to rotate guys. I think it's important if you come into a room where you're rotating a lot of guys, their engagement is knowing they're going to play. I think that's really important to keep that same mindset so that those guys will stay engaged every week instead of going, well, I'm not going to play. I'm not, one of the top two. I'm not a starter. They're going to play all the snaps. You got to be ready whenever your name's called. BJ started that, and it sounds like William Inge is going to continue that at that position.
Now, that was the big takeaway for me. The big takeaway from this, Hubbs has him in the playoffs. Write it down. He is Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price for the Exterior Home Solutions 2-minute drill.